Committee meeting to order. Mary Ann, will you call roll, please?
Shelley Stidham-Stevens.
Here.
Mary Ann Contreras, I'm here. Wayne Dennis. Here. Cassandra Dillon. Courtney Edwards.
Present.
Dr. Shenoy.
Present.
Dr. Sparkman. Sandra Williams.
I'm here.
Stuart Williams, not related. Kevin Ricks.
Here.
Julie Perez.
Thank you.
Committee members, I hope you all had a chance to review the minutes of the February meeting. Does anybody have any questions regarding the minutes from the February meeting? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for the February meeting? Dr. Shenoy, second?
No, she can have a second.
Sandy, second? Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from the February meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, minutes carried. Amy Bailey, update on Child Fatality Review Team.
I'm Amy Bailey.
Turn it on and off. Sometimes it goes into microphone.
Hello?
There we go.
Yeah. All right. I'm Amy Bailey, and I'm the Texas Child Fatality Review Coordinator at the Department of State Health Services. And I have two updates for today. The first update is our 2015 biennial report was released for the State Child Fatality Review Team. This report encompasses data from 2005 to 2013, and it adds 2012 and 2013. Those are the new data years. This report will be available on the DSHS website once the website is back up and running. And the graphics in the document, we do encourage people to use these graphics for presentations. They are referenced, and this will also be on the website. So any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Amy, and you probably sent it to all the Child Death Review Coordinators, which means that I probably have it in email. Is it okay to share with committee members prior to it being available? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It is available to be sent out, and it's open to the public. So anybody who wants to use it can. The next thing I have is that UT Health Science Center in San Antonio is currently conducting a survey with child fatality review coordinators across the state. And this survey will look at omission commission and how CFRT coordinators code that using fake cases or fictional cases. So what they are looking at is to improve data quality among coordinators around the state, look at how things are being coded and how the feedback that needs to be given for teams. So
has that survey been sent?
the survey has been sent out. Yes, okay. The survey has been sent out, and we have already received responses to that. Coordinators who fill it out will receive a $50 gift card from UT Health Science Center San Antonio, so there is a benefit to filling it out. It is rather lengthy, but it takes maybe about an hour, but they will get the gift card at the end. So, okay, thank you.
Else? Does anyone, committee members, any comments or questions for Amy? Okay, thanks, Amy. Okay, next on the agenda is TTCF and TTAF updates. Courtney and Sandy?
So TTCF met yesterday. There were 133, I believe, in attendance, just under 140. So our numbers keep growing strong. From an injury prevention standpoint, one of the educational offerings, each session we have 2 educational offerings, and Jennifer Northway presented injury prevention principles and strategies for TTCF. In addition, the Monday of this week, we had the TTCF Trauma Designation Education course, which is one of the courses that meets the requirements of trauma program managers when they're going through survey process for their formal education on how to be a trauma program manager, in which we again also discussed injury prevention, and that lecture is based on the hospital components that this committee has written about. And so that happened with TTCF, and then TTAF met last night, and focus of conversation with TTAF last night was again on the restructuring, and then also developing the legislative initiative to moving forward in strengthening the trauma and emergency healthcare system itself.
Okay. Do you have anything to add? Or? Committee members, any questions for Courtney? Any questions from the audience regarding the TTCF or TTAF meetings? Okay. Moving right along, is Sam in here? Yeah.
I am here, but I would ask, can we move us to the end of the agenda? I'm still trying to track down Dr. Remick. I know she's here, just.
Absolutely.
Because she's actually going to be the one presenting here this afternoon.
You bet.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a presentation by Dr. Diane Daly. I don't know, is she in the room? I know that she was scheduled to present at the pediatric meeting as well, and was not available, and I have not heard from her, so I'm not seeing her in the room. I'm assuming that she isn't here, and we'll hold that presentation till a future time. Dan, if you want to just, you've actually got several things on the agenda, so we'll start with the update on the request from the League of Women Voters.
Dan Dow from Injury Epidemiology Surveillance Branch, Department of Health Services, and we completed that report and made it available in March to the committee and then also to Grace Germain.
Okay. So next up is just updates on Texas trauma and EMS data.
So we completed the 2014 Burden of Injury Report. We gave it to the committee in April, and we'd like to lay out our report schedules for the upcoming years and GTACs. We'd like to make the Burden of Injury Report available at the November GTAC of every year, and then the Submersion Report based on the Submersion Registry in the May GTAC. We're currently working on updating the Submersion Report for release this summer in collaboration with the National Drowning Prevention Alliance, and we'll reach out to the committee members when we need a subject matter expert on injury topics.
Okay, so did you say submersions? Oh, sorry, Courtney. Go ahead.
I got a question. So the submersion report in May, is there any way that we could switch with February, because April is Pools Day? And that's one of the big initiatives during the state of Texas Pools Day is drowning prevention.
We could do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, okay, so just to be clear, you want the submersion report in February?
Yes, so
Okay.
that way we have it in preemptive anticipation of Pools Day, which occurs in April.
Okay, is that okay, Dan?
Yeah, we'll provide a presentation each time we deliver a report to at the committee.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you for
Great,
that.
thank you. Go ahead, sorry. Any questions for Dan? Do you have
Is there any-
any questions from the audience? From Dan?
Thank you.
Okay. Easy day. Next on the agenda is an update on the development of the evidence-based texting and driving prevention fact sheet. For those of you who have been following this committee, last year we decided that we would try and provide a one-page fact sheets on what the evidence says regarding certain prevention, certain topics, what are effective prevention strategies, what are ineffective prevention strategies, and things like that. I have to, I think initially we said we were going to do all the categories within 1 year, and I have to give Dr. Shenoy credit for saying, no, we need to slow down just a little bit and do our due diligence and do a thorough review of the topic areas. So once we sort of slowed down, we decided that the first injury prevention topic that we were going to address would be distracted driving. So over the last 6 months or so, each of the committee members, since I believe October, had areas, organizations, lit reviews that they needed to complete to try and find out what is effective, if anything, in preventing distracted driving, what needs more evaluation, and is there anything that's been evaluated and shown to be ineffective. So we have compiled the draft. I think we're close in terms of putting together the one-page fact sheet. The committee members each have a draft copy in hand. For those of you who are sitting in the audience, and I don't have this on slide, but this is probably what it's going to look like. So everything in green will be yes, this has been determined to be effective. Everything in yellow will be it's still needs some more evaluation or more rigorous evaluation. Anything that appears in red means that it has been evaluated and it's been shown to be ineffective and possibly have a dangerous effect as well. And then anything in gray is just a lot of things that are out there that we hear about but have had zero evaluation. This is to encourage folks who are wanting to do some type of distracted driving intervention to look first at you know, the green categories and see what's already been proven effective. Stay away from the red categories. If they decide they want to do something in the yellow category or in the gray category, we're strongly encouraging partnering with the research community to do a pretty rigorous evaluation. This will be the one-pager. The other thing that we are also working on is a companion document that will go into detail on everything that is listed that we have found information about. So everything that's listed on the one-pager will include detailed information about the study and how it was evaluated, whether it was a case control, whether it was an observational survey or something like that. So we're hoping that we can have both available and ready by the August meeting so that this committee can approve it, and then we can make it available to the Big GTAC committee, if not in August, by the November meeting, and have that available so that we can put that on the dishes and the GTAC websites. So committee members, does that sound reasonable? Okay. Any questions from the audience regarding the distracted driving fact sheet? Any comments regarding from either the committee members or others in the audience as to once this is completed, what is the next topic we take on?
I'd just like to add about the issue of distracted driving. This document is really important because the next legislative sessions, they're going to deal with this topic again, have statewide ban on this. And so we really need to get this document out so that we have one common voice at the state level to share with the legislators and the elected officials. And I think we need a critical mass to do that because they say 2 times tough, 3 times lucky with the booster car seat, that's what passed. So I think we've got to give it a good shot.
Good point. So any comments from the committee on next steps in terms of a next topic? Wayne, I see you moving toward the microphone, so.
Okay, make sure it works. I did have one request from a level 2 EMS liaison for a hospital in Denton. I was explaining to what we were doing on this, and his suggestion was the next one would be Falls, because that's what they have that's what they deal with most.
Falls among the elderly, falls
Yes.
among, okay.
Yeah.
All right, point taken. Any comments, or are we?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's hard to say right off the top of my head. I mean, me personally, I like Falls. That's what I do a lot. But I mean, and I know it affects almost all of us who work outside a children's facility. But I think right now it's without actually seeing, I don't know if the child falls equal out to that's just as important to look at their programming. But I would say that, I mean, right now, that's where I would lean.
Okay, it looks like we're in agreement on the committee. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Yes.
Would pediatric falls, Kevin, are you asking, would pediatric falls be a separate sheet?
Yeah,
Or-
that was more of my question. I mean,
Okay.
because are we going to look at pediatric programming separately? I mean, or do we just look at falls as a topic area? I mean, I would think that while we're going through the data and looking at falls programs, you're going to find both, but they're going to be very, very different, exceptionally different, I would say, because there's, you know, 3 that come to my mind that are really already good evaluated, but I don't know any of the child ones, and I don't know how we put that in the same document.
No, I agree. I think that the strategies would be so different that we need to focus on one or the other. So I think what we'll start with is older adult falls, and then consider if pediatric falls is the next one, or do we want to do a different fact sheet next and put pediatric falls on down the list.
I
Is that
agree
okay?
with the second point. Like, take adult falls as the next document, and pediatric falls at a later stage.
Okay.
because it's,
Okay. Okay. So we will, we'll put that on the agenda for our next workday meeting, which I believe we're having in July. Okay. Next up is those of you who got here early and before we put the agenda up on the screen probably saw a quote from Dr. Maya Angelou on leadership. And for those of you who have sort of been following the committee as well, we have been planning to host a leadership, an injury prevention leadership symposium. It was an invitation-only symposium. It was actually held May the 2nd and 3rd in San Antonio. And we had 27 people who, I think 31 were invited, 27 showed up and attended the symposium. And because you guys get enough of me talking during these committee meetings, I've asked Dr. Shenoy to just kind of provide an update of the information that was presented, the experience, so.
So thank you, Shelley. What I'd like to share with you that we had a fabulous organizing committee. Mary Ann Contreras, Shelley Siddons, Courtney Edwards, and Stuart, and Amy Bailey, and I think other folks. What we did was we got a core group of injury prevention specialists, those who have injury prevention as a deep interest. And we had an invited speaker who served as the workshop facilitator, Dr. Carolyn Fowler from Johns Hopkins University. And what we did was, besides a wonderful networking opportunity, we had folks from DSHS, Dan Dow's group, Amy Bailey and the Child Fatality Review team, Child Fatality Review team too, then also the hospitals and trauma service areas, Safe Kids, etc. We had a great networking opportunity, and also what we learned was how to develop our leadership skills. I think all of us have ideas which we like to do in injury prevention, but don't know where to start. And what Dr. Fowler helped us achieve was to, first of all, hone in to be a good listener. I think sometimes our listening skills need to be improved, and I think I learned a lot just from that. Besides, of course, learning to hone down on your problem, and rather than look at the whole, problems can be really large if you look at them, but if you do a fact-finding mission, you can actually hone down to a specific problem which you can control. And so that's what we learned. And I think we're going to try to roll this out in subsequent years to other people so that we have a critical mass of injury prevention specialists and so forth, and probably get people from the valley perhaps and more rural areas too. And I'll ask other members who are present to share. Kevin was there too, and Mary Ann, and Amy, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Shenoy, and I agree. Kevin and Mary Ann and anyone else that wants to.
So
So Dr. Fowler, if you've never heard of her, is absolutely foundational in the world of violence and injury prevention from Johns Hopkins. That was a commercial. They have all kinds of programs there. And Dr. Fowler has such an insightful way of causing you to think clearly, to be able to define. There's a lot of vagueness in our field of violence and injury prevention. What do you do? Well, you know, I do this. And there's a lot of vagueness. And in order to be an effective leader, we have to really evaluate what it is that we do. But more importantly, we have to be able to look at what our values are, both personally and as individual organizations. And what I took away very much so from this symposium was to be able to identify what my values were and how do I implement and base all of what I do in my profession based on those values. And it has a tremendous impact on the way you look at injury and violence, the way you present it to others, and the way you evaluate it. And so it sounds strange coming out now, but it has an impact even just a couple of weeks out of this course on how I'm looking at things. So I want to thank the committee, and there will be future opportunities for this course, and I would highly recommend it. So look for those to come. Kevin?
Okay, I guess I would first echo those points. I mean, it was really a wonderful experience to be down there for a couple days and see people in the room who were there and the people who were at the table. For me, the main thing I took away from it was the necessary to not only for us to be leaders in injury prevention, but for everyone who has any interest of injury prevention to be able to share their voice and have people who can listen and have people who will actively participate with you and know that you have somebody you need to balance your values out, you need to balance your own thoughts, and how do we come together as a much larger community? How do we get people in our level 3 and our level 4 trauma facilities involved in injury prevention and passionate about it, because it's very easy for us who do injury prevention as our full-time job to be really, really passionate about it. But we want to help facilitate that in the more rural areas, the 3s, the 4s, the 2s, people who don't have somebody who can do injury prevention full-time, and really how do we foster leaders in that group. And that's kind of what I really want to hound from this point forward for me, is I want to help facilitate those people who have an interest in injury prevention but maybe don't have the 100% full-time able to dedicate their time to it. And that's kind of what I took away from it.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I know there are several people in the audience that were also at the symposium, and I want to give you an opportunity to say something if you want to. Or we could just move on. Thank you, Kevin and Dr. Shenoy and Mary Ann. I would just add that this symposium, while it was billed as a leadership symposium for injury and violence prevention professionals, it was, we talked very little about injury and violence prevention. We talked a lot about leadership skills and the skills necessary. I think one of the things you heard from everything that Kevin, Mary Ann, and Dr. Shenoy said is the active listening part. I mean, we were basically told, we were highly encouraged to be fully present during the day and a half that we met, which meant that people put their cell phones up. And Amy, I remember hearing you say something about, she said, you know, it's amazing what I have heard in the day and a half, just not being tied to my cell phone. I mean, just being able to not have to worry about it, not have to respond to something that's going on back at the office or at home or things like that. I mean, I think I came away with, wow, there's a lot of information there, and I wasn't looking at my phone trying to multitask and hear what Dr. Fowler was saying as well as what's happening on my cell phone and things like that. The other thing is we are in the process of gathering the information from the feedback from those that did participate, We've got an evaluation that people are responding to. So for those who did participate, there was a lot of energy generated at the meeting or at the symposium, and we're trying to figure out how to sustain that. So there will be opportunities going forward. There's probably likely to be a few webinars where we delve into a little bit more of the theoretical information that was presented. So there will be opportunities for the group, the 27 people who attended the symposium, to stay connected. But the other thing that we're looking at is there was so much energy and so much excitement from those who were there that they want to share this with others. And so we're looking at trying to offer this again in a year. There's discussions about even trying to have it at different locations in terms of we'll have the symposium where we invite everybody back again in a year, but if say we wanted to do something at Parkland, we might try and do something at Parkland, or if Marianne wanted to host something similar at JPS for JPS folks and things like that. So we're exploring a lot of different things at this point. We have the materials available. I would say that if you weren't able to attend, and the one thing that to take away is pick up a copy of the book, Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. It's a very quick and easy read. It's got some worksheets in it that are really easy to follow and things like that. But beyond that, when people ask me, share the information with me, it's hard to share the information because it's really you had to be there, you have to experience it. And so it's hard for us to synthesize what actually happened other than it was just a great experience, and we're already starting to see some changes in the way that we respond to our colleagues and others in terms of our leadership roles. So if you're interested in learning more about the symposium, would like to be involved next year, please email Stuart Williams at, and I don't have Stuart's email, but we can pull that up. It's srwilliams@seton.org. So we're in the process of compiling those lists as well.
No, I was just saying.
Okay. Okay. Next thing is, Sam, is Dr. Remick available? Okay. Well, we can go to open comment and get through that and just wait until she arrives. I don't want you to feel rushed or her. So.
All right. Yeah, I mean, she should be here in a few minutes.
Okay, gotcha. So we are to the open comment phase, and I know that Dr. Jeff Beeson had sent me an email that someone might be willing to, or might have a few comments to make about a program that they're doing, and I'm sorry I do not have your name, but if you're in the room, if you've been in contact with Dr. Beeson, feel free to come up at this point and. Okay. All right. Well, I know we have some announcements from the committee.
So an update to the February agenda item. The committee had been asked to give a lecture with the Texas State Emergency Nurses Association at their biannual injury prevention conference. We did so. It was April 7th in down south in Seabrook. Yes. Seabrook area, and there was 32 attendees in the room. The committee opened up the initial presentation with talking about the hospital-based injury prevention components, and then there were several presentations of evidence-informed programs that hospitals have implemented in their area. We covered the period of purple crying, concussion and heads-up management. We covered drug substances, new and innovative substances that are coming, being seen in the emergency departments, which was provided by the Poison Center, and things that you could do to identify that. So it was nice, well-rounded conference, and it was very beneficial.
So to tag on that, so you guys have heard us talk a lot about those hospital-based core components that are posted on the website when it's up and running. And so Courtney took the initiative to use the document that we put together and to pull it all together for us in a very concise, tight format. And we actually were allowed to be, or we were accepted, our paper was, in the March volume of the Journal of Emergency Nursing, and it highlights GTAC, and it's building the conversation for hospital-based injury prevention program capacity. So that's pretty cool that we were able to get that done, and I would encourage you, if you have a copy of the ENA Emergency Journal of Nursing, to take a look at it. It's kind of a concise, consolidated explanation of the hospital-based core components for violence and injury prevention.
And as a follow-up to that, we have also, this paper has also been accepted as a poster at the World Injury Conference, which will be held in Tampere, Finland, in mid-September. So the work that we're doing in Texas is getting noticed, not only statewide, but nationally and internationally as well. So we're excited about that. Other comments or announcements from the committee? Not to embarrass you, Dr. Sparkman, but thanks for joining us. I have to say, I teased Dr. Sparkman. He brought chocolate glazed donuts to the Leadership Symposium, and I was so trying to be, we were trying to have healthy foods and things like that, and I told him it was my kryptonite, and I think I had 3 that day. So, any other comments from the committee before I move back to Sam and Dr. Remick?
Hi, I'm Kate Remick. I'm a peds emergency medicine and EMS physician here in Austin, and I also sit on the EMS, the Texas EMS for Children Advisory Council, as well as the Federal Advisory Council, EMSC Advisory Council. And I wanted to just speak with you all a little bit about pediatric facility recognition and why it's important, with the ask to see if you all would be willing to support this in concept for the state of Texas. And I want to just give you a little bit of background about why we're talking about this. So. Many of you would probably expect that if you show up at an emergency department with your child, that the emergency department would be ready and able to manage or stabilize their medical emergency or illness. There are a number of guidelines that have come out, and they've been out for about 15 years, that suggest what is the baseline level of readiness that an emergency department needs to take care of children. And these are guidelines that have been endorsed by numerous professional organizations, AMA, AHA, Joint Commission, et cetera, but initially written by the Emergency Nurses Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American College of Emergency Physicians. And it basically just says that we need to have a baseline level of readiness that includes things like monitoring what we're doing for children, a quality improvement process to see the care that's being delivered, having someone who's looking out for children in the emergency department, having supplies and equipment needed for children. So really just baseline level of readiness. The idea is that every emergency department should have these available and is capable of having those available. We're not talking about high-end, we're not talking about pediatric intensive care units or NICUs or anything along those lines. But there was a national assessment that went out to look at how hospitals are doing with respect to that baseline level of readiness. And unfortunately, we had an 83% response rate of every single hospital in the United States and U.S. territory, so over 4,000 hospitals participated, but the median score on a 100-point scale was only 69. So hospitals there are still having major gaps in terms of meeting the needs of children on a day-to-day level. Why is this important? You think maybe children's hospitals can take care of them? Well, the problem is more than 80% of children are actually being seen in non-children's hospitals. So this is why the onus is on us to see how we can bolster our communities, our community emergency departments, to ensure they're meeting the needs of those children within the community. We know that now there are about 14 states that have developed what we call pediatric facility recognition programs. Many of them are voluntary, some of them are mandatory, but they really are characterized by the needs of that state and developed based on the needs of that state. So every single state, in terms of how they developed it, is different. But what we know from the National Pediatric Readiness Assessment that was done in 2013 is having a facility recognition program or process in place ensures day-to-day readiness, which is also critical for disaster readiness. And we talked a little bit to the Disaster Preparedness Committee about that too. So if you're not ready on a day-to-day level, you're not going to be ready on if a disaster were to hit. Right now, there are 14 states that have those facility recognition processes in place. Tennessee is one of those. They performed probably the best in terms of, not probably, they absolutely performed the best in terms of the National Pediatric Readiness Assessment with a median weighted readiness score in the 90s. The state of Illinois, they have over a 60% participation rate. They also have improved levels of readiness. In the state of California, we were able to get at a little more granular level and look specifically at how readiness recognition programs impact overall readiness. And indeed, there's almost a 30 percentage point increase in having a facility recognition in place. So the idea behind these is how do we bolster communities, not how do we bring children into major cities. It's how do we make sure that we can keep them near their medical home and provide for them in the case of an emergency. So what we're asking at this point of all of the GTAC committees is if you all would be willing to support this idea in concept. The how, in terms of how this would be developed, is still to be seen. We're gathering a large group of stakeholders towards the end of September. We've already started talking to a number of organizations in Texas, including THA, TTAF, Children's Hospital Association of Texas has given us a formal endorsement, as has the Texas Pediatric Society, Texas ENA. So we have formal endorsement from a number of organizations. We've been in discussions with many others, including the rec chairs. And we'd like to continue those discussions, but only if we can receive at least an endorsement and concept for this idea.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, do you have comments or questions?
Thank you, Dr. Remick. Actually, I fully support your idea. In fact, if you know the AHA chain of survival, the first thing is injury prevention, and then you do your other stuff. They brought that to submersions as well. So I think in concept, our committee should really strongly support this idea, as well as the other point is that we have trauma service areas in the state, and each of them have an injury prevention group. And I think through that and a pediatric group, perhaps we need to try to engage those people to further the aims of the EMSC grant.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee members? Any questions from audience? Okay, then I would entertain a motion from the committee to support in concept the idea to bring pediatric or hospitals into readiness for pediatric events. So do I hear a motion? Sandy? Do I hear a second? I'll second. Marianne? Okay. Any discussion from the committee? Are we ready to vote? Okay. All in favor of supporting this initiative in concept, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Done.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other comments from the audience during the open comment period?
You know me.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen Northway. I'm the Director for Adult and Pediatric Injury Prevention out of University Health System in San Antonio. And just a reminder that in June we are hosting the ATS Injury Prevention Coordinators course, and encourage folks to come. There are only 15 spots left in the class, which is a great thing. The class will be held at our hospital, and we'll make sure to get some information out through the different listservs that are available to us. I will also be posting some of the flyers outside on the tables for folks.
What are the dates again, Jen?
It's Saturday, June 11th, and Sunday, June 12th. And again, I know those dates are a little tough with the weekend, but again, that's when their instructors are available. I did also want to make mention that your hospital-based components document is available for folks to review off the TTAF website. So if they want to check it out, they can go there and look at it. I did present some information yesterday to the Texas Drama Coordinators Forum and provided that link to that listserv. So if you need me to send that link to you guys, I can certainly do that. And then I had a question related to the spectrum of prevention documents that we had put together, a few years ago. With the website being down, is there another place that we have those? Because I don't even have the ones that I developed.
Right.
And so I was looking for those to be able to share those with that group.
I can tell you, Jen, they are available on the Injury Prevention Center of Greater Dallas's website.
Okay.
So that's www.injurypreventioncenter.org.
Okay.
And it's under the programs
Okay.
tab. But I'm wondering and I don't know how long the GTAC and the DISH's website's going to be down, but I'm wondering if the TTAP website is a platform where we can post some documents until the DISH's website is back up. Brenda?
Great, and TTAP's website is being updated, so there'll be additional resources there, so we'll make sure that we'll get all of the resource documents to Courtney DeBauer so that she can post those up on the TTAP website.
Thank you for answering that question for me. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Jen.
it.
No, thanks for bringing it up and everything. Speaking of, do we have any updates on the website?
Unfortunately, we don't, and I just want to take a second and thank TTAP for hosting several of our GTAC documents, agendas, et cetera, on their page. Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements?
So on the table out there, I'm like Jen, I always have something to say. There are little save the date cards for JPS Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas. We have an annual trauma conference. Last year was our 5th, and we had almost 300 people come. We invite speakers from all over the United States, different universities and major trauma centers. So I would encourage you, if you haven't marked your date for Friday, October the 28th, the fees we haven't raised in 6 years this year. And it's about 6 to 7 nursing CEs. We feed you all day long, give you great door prizes. But most of all, it's an opportunity to learn new things and different ways of practice in our field of trauma care.
Thanks, Marianne.
All right, since Marianne's going to plug her, I'm going to do it too. So, University Medical Center Brackenridge here in Austin is hosting the Austin Critical Care Trauma Conference. That is June 2nd and 3rd. It's actually a 3-day conference. June 1st is a pediatric-only conference. And June 2nd and 3rd is the adult-only conference. You can earn at max 15.5 continuing education hours. So we'll just double it. So if you're a nurse and looking for a CE, you can get 15.5 out of that conference. It's here, held at the AT&T Center at the University of Texas campus. And that's June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd if you want to attend all 3. But if you're only interested in peds, you only have to go the first day. If you like adults, you can do the second 2 days. But well, if you want more information on that, I have information on that with me. So if you'd love to go to that, let me know.
So I'm going to make a plug, but it's not for one of my conferences. Monday, there was a BCon class that was held at the Capitol. There were staff members that had attended that, and it was a really good insight for them to understand one of the big injury prevention projects that we are pushing through the state. So TTAF kind of led the forum with that. Jory Klein did the presentation to them, and then they actually participated in the skills portion of the BCon class. Comments that I heard that came from that meeting was that it wasn't as scary as they had thought it was going to be, and that's awesome coming from lay people, because as healthcare professionals, we don't necessarily think twice about it. But it's very intimidating and daunting to them. There's also going to be a BCon Train the Trainer course tonight that's going to be led by Dr. Raj Gandhi. That is from 4 to 6. Registration is through the TTAF website. I'm sure there's probably still spots available. And then I know that there have been many courses that have been held throughout the state of Texas, posting on Facebooks and websites and that kind of thing about the courses. So we're really moving in that direction, getting lay people involved and showing them that bystanders really can have an impact on Stop the Bleeding in situations of, industrial incidences, motor vehicle crashes, in addition to preparation for a shooting incident. So that has been very well received. Some of the RACs, I know our RAC has began to finalize documents within our own RAC so that we can track and trend. The website, the State of Texas website, stopthebleedtexas.org, tx.org, is up and coming so that we can eventually, the things that our RAC is doing is monitoring the profession of the person that we're training, such as are they in retail, are they in industry, food service, that kind of thing, in addition to their home address and their work zip code, because that's where people most often reside and live, hoping that we can kind of plaster our area and have a good response in that area. Having an evaluation of the course, do they think that the course will help them? Do they feel comfortable using those skills in the future? And then a simple pre-test, post-test so that we can, grade the effectiveness of our instructors as well, just being that overly ambitious evaluation that we are doing. But there's lots of work moving forward, lots of good things coming out. Just, keep in mind the resources are available, the classes are there. Just monitor the integrity of the course so that we can keep up the good work that was started nationally on this.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions, comments, announcements from the audience? Okay. If not, our next, the Injury Prevention Committee will meet again for a workday meeting, which is scheduled for Friday, July the 29th here in Austin. And since Stuart is not here to offer up a room, Kevin, is that something that maybe you could?
We'll be happy to have a room.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll schedule as soon as I get out of here today.
Okay.
So we can schedule it. Since I'm new to the committee as of February 1st time, they can have it at my hospital. So, so sure.
Okay, so our workday meetings are typically from 9 until noon. So these are open meetings. Anyone is invited to participate. We will try and make a phone line available for those who cannot attend in person. Our workday meetings are truly, we get a lot of work done during those meetings, and we spend these meetings usually presenting on the work we did at the workday meeting. What we will be doing is finalizing the distracted driving document, and then probably beginning to make assignments for the next document, which will be on older adult falls. So if that's it, I will adjourn the Injury Prevention Committee meeting.